maybe, potentially. Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans of all ages, we welcome you to another edition of On the Money podcast in the heat of the moment, in the heat of battle, right smack dab in the middle of draft season as the Atlanta Braves hit a 2-run home run off of Aaron Nola to give the Braves a 2-0 lead. We are here live for another edition of On the Money podcast from the epicenter of Nostalgia Mania here in the On the Money Sports Lounge, where it's all going down. And if you've been following along, unless you've been living under a rock, you know what's going down tonight. We gave you 2 weeks ago NFC West, AFC West breakdowns. We gave you last week NFC North, AFC North breakdowns. And tonight, we're taking it down south. We're breaking down the NFC South. We're breaking down the AFC South. Everything that we have in store for you guys and more as far as how we think it's going to break down division winners, basement dwellers, and hopefully some questions will be answered this season, because when it comes to these two divisions, there's a whole lot of question marks. But before I go any further, as always, the commissioner of the On the Money Sports League, my co-host for On the Money podcast, none other than Oscar O'Money Muniz.
Bah humbug. This has got to end.
What, the Philly season?
This is.
It will soon.
When are they going to wake up?
At this pace, it will. That was Arcia that hit that bomb, too.
Oh, I would have rather have them slumped in the first half and then came through in the second half. This is so much different than years past. But enough of that. I am O-Money. I am the commissioner of the On the Money Sports League. I am the reigning, not defending.
You're not the reigning. You're not the reigning or defending champion. You are the former On the Money Sports champion. You're the former champ. It's all right. It's all right. I know you wanted to get, you know what I mean? You wanted to go with the old spiel, but right now it's, you know.
I am a 2-time champion.
Once you kicked in that
a one-time Ace Fantasy League champion, a one-time League of Boom champion.
You are. You're right.
However, this upcoming season, one last ride. The rider will walk out of Sick Picks, the champion. And there's nothing anyone can say or do about that.
We'll see, man.
I am going to book myself to the
Sunday
championship,
afternoon.
And then I'm going to walk out like this. Guess what? I'm not returning the trophy either.
You hear that, Alex? The current league champion, Sick Picks League, 4th annual Sick Picks League draft goes down this Sunday afternoon, live from Commissioner Mike D's house. We will be drafting our teams for the Sick Picks 2 Flex League. It's draft season, folks. It's going down. We've been seeing boards all over Facebook, all over the forum, which is greatly appreciated.
Wow.
What up, Chris?
Keep draining my own money. What a
the first comment of the night.
What a heel turn.
A heel turn early in the podcast.
What a heel turn.
You know what, though? To be honest, I think that everything went downhill for you when you came downstairs with the feathers around your neck, playing the air guitar. I think that once you decided to do that, I think that was slowly the beginning of the end for you. As far because what
in only won 2 games in On the Money Sports last year.
It was terrible.
What a horrific draft.
Terrible.
I don't listen. I'm pretty sure it's going to come up on my memory feed on Facebook. I'm not reposting that memory.
One thing about that league, because it happened to me 2 years ago. One thing about the On the Money Sports League, one team is going to do terribly bad, like as bad as you can do, like Detroit Lions in the 1990s bad. No matter, like it happened with me. I made that trade for Justin Fields. I went on a little 2-game winning streak, and I ended the season like 4-11 or something. Like it was absolutely hideous. That league draft though is on September 1st. this coming weekend, we have 3 more drafts, 3 live drafts that we have going down.
Oh, you do. I got 2.
You've got 2. I've got 3.
I have downsized from last. Oh, where's the remote to the TV?
He done with the Phillies? He's done. He's getting the Phillies off his TV. He's had enough. He's moving on. Phillies are in the middle of a rough one right now. Yankees looking pretty good against the Guardians in game 2 of that series. Of course, as you know, we're giving you our breakdowns for the divisions here each and every week on the podcast, but we're also talking fantasy football.
We missed you the last drafts. 2 weeks, brother.
We're talking UFC. We're talking baseball as we are here in the last month of the MLB season.
Before we get into it, let's just talk about Friday night in Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah.
And Jose, the real hitman Soto.
Oh, yeah.
Professional debut for Cage Fury Fighting, winning by unanimous decision.
Good stuff.
Solid bout. Was really in control pretty much the entire fight.
Honored to have him on the podcast, man. He went out there. He came on the podcast. He gave his testimony, and then he went out there and he put boots to asses, got his first professional victory of his career, and he's just going to build off of that, and it's just going to keep going from there, bro. Like, so freaking excited for him, man.
What was it he said? There is a way with Jose.
There is a way with Jose, bro. Good shit.
Kudos to you, my man,
Good
and I'm looking forward to getting you back down here in the lounge, getting ready for your next fight. Can't wait, and I'm so happy for you, man. Many blessings to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He did. He definitely got it done. Chris is checked in. I think this is his first day of vacay. Glad that you got there safe with the family. Hope you're living it up. Happy birthday to you, my brother. Gonna miss hanging out with you this weekend, but totally understand you've got your vacation with your family.
Are you going to get mofongo while you're out there? Did Andrew give you money to get island mofongo?
Hopefully you come hang out in the On the Money Sports Lounge on a Sunday and watch a little bit of foosball with us. Talk a little bit of shit, track scores. Super eventful week. It was a very eventful week. As you know, I had a draft on Sunday and a draft on Monday. So it was my first opportunity to get to play the board and see some of the trends. And one of the first things that stuck out to me, I know we already discussed this division, but for fantasy purposes, I found it interesting was the fact that in one of my leagues, I was able to get Justin Jefferson at the 10th overall pick, which means a lot of people are not comfortable with his situation. And they are willing to pass up on it for other players.
We already stated what he did with Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs last year. What are you afraid of?
But when you're on the clock, it's a different story. When it's your turn to actually pick, you got your book in front of you. You're at the live draft with 9 other people talking shit the whole time.
Nothing to be scared of.
Well, people were scared. People felt a lot safer drafting a CeeDee Lamb who has not been in training camp yet, a Jamar Chase who has not shown up yet, and reports are that he's not showing up until he gets paid.
And Brandon Ayuk is still not signed with the 49ers, and I told
it sounds like they are
since last week.
A deal. It sounds like they are going to be inking a deal. Who's throwing to Jefferson? It's gonna be Sam Darnold, bro. I'm telling you, bro, that dude is gonna end up being a September waiver wire darling. Once you realize that you can get yourself a cheap stack of Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson in September,
that's a move right there. Where if you're in the championship bout this year, people are gonna look back at it and they're gonna be like, "How did you get Justin Jefferson at the 10th spot?"
I felt like I was in a position where I had a game plan and a strategy in mind. And when I saw his name there at the 10th spot, I felt like I couldn't pass it up.
Nah, Paul, I don't care what anybody says. It's Justin Jefferson. He still put up more fantasy points without Kirk Cousins last year than he did.
And you had Tyreek Hill at the time. Tyreek Hill was already off the board. Amon-Ra St. Brown was already off the board. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. So there wasn't even that other wide receiver that could persuade or tempt me to go into that direction. I had the 10th overall pick, so I was picking on the back-to-backs. I was able to get Justin Jefferson, who I couldn't pass up, and I was able to follow that up with a guy in the second round that I absolutely love this season, none other than Mr. Kyron Williams. So it was just cool. It was cool. It was interesting. and just being able to see that trend play out, like who people are actually fading. You know what I mean? You've got the people that are fading Christian McCaffrey. You've got the people that are fading Justin Jefferson. Hell, you've got the people that are fading Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb because of what I just mentioned, the fact that they are not at training camp. And we know that when you show up late to training camp, you're usually one of the first guys to deal with the soft tissue injuries. Like, we know that has been a trend in the last couple of seasons. So now that we're actually in the midst of drafting, and we have, a couple more drafts coming up this weekend, I know that I'm probably not going to be able to take anything from last week into this week based on new information, but it's just interesting to see it all play out.
There's rumblings too that Burrow's wrist is still bothering him or something like that.
Bro, I already gave you my synopsis on Cincinnati and how I feel about them. There's a lot of spooky shit going on out there. There's a lot of spooky shit going on out there. It ain't all right. You got the Burrow dyed his hair. He cut his hair and dyed his hair to look like Cody Rhodes. Jamar Chase isn't there. T. Higgins is there, but we know that T. Higgins is there on a 1-year rental. To their credit, the Bengals had a good day going up against the Indianapolis Colts because their defense was shouting out the plays of the Colts offense because they were, getting on Anthony Richardson for being limited in their, dual practice. So that's an interesting subject to get into because since we're talking about that division tonight, but I already told you, Cincinnati's a spooky-ass team. And to be totally honest with you, we're going to be talking about 7 to 8 spooky-ass teams tonight with these 2 divisional breakdowns.
Can't seem to find it. They were talking about it on the radio the other day.
Children of the Corn and Cincy. It's spooky, bro. I mean, for fantasy purposes, you're still going to go get those guys, but Joe Burrow is another name that has been falling down draft boards. Now, I have not done a 2-quarterback league draft yet, so that's a different conversation when it comes to a 2 QB league. My first 2 QB league draft will be this Sunday night, East Coast Champs League, because Noli has switched things up in his league. The vote was passed. It is now a 2 QB, 3 flex league.
Who didn't vote
in
for
Noli's league? Yeah, you had a couple guys that were scared.
Willie?
But majority won. Yeah,
Willie?
he was against it. But
why would Willie be against it? Because he's been in 2. Willie's the reason why I came up with the 2 QB concept because he told me about he was in a league with 2 QBs. And I looked at him and I was like, he's cutting my hair. This is when he used to cut my hair before Berto came back.
What up, Eric?
And he's telling me about this 2 QB league he's in. And I'm like this. Like the light bulb went off in my head. And I'm like,
well, we know, 2 QB, it's been, we are one of the pioneers for 2 quarterback leagues.
We've had a 2 QB
that has been very
5 years?
A very controversial decision. And it's been one of those things.
When was our first year doing it?
It was before I joined. This is my 6th year of being in the league. So it was before me. So I know that every single year the conversation comes up in a lot of leagues and it gets shut down in a lot of leagues because a lot of the old timers do not want to deal with the possibilities.
What up, Eric?
Of having to lose out on their precious running backs because they have to go high for a QB. People don't like the fact that the QB's value bumps up in a 2-quarterback league.
Because it messes their whole...
Like, why
messes everything up. Like, oh my God,
yeah. They see 5 quarterbacks going in the first round and they start freaking out because fantasy pros told them to go in a different route. But 2 QB...
Too many of y'all listen to fantasy pros and y'all got to...
And they're great. Fantasy pros is great. Don't get me wrong. But there are more outlets of information out there. And when it comes to a 2 QB league, and when it comes to leagues that have been together for years, you have to know better. Nice.
That's awesome,
That's gonna
bro.
Be cool. That's going to be cool, man. That's going to be really, really cool. A cool experience. I saw not too long ago you...
Wait, ain't you in charge of the other shop? Carlos let you out?
He's leaving. But yeah, man, it's a different ball game, man. And I'm excited for this weekend, my first experience to be drafting in 2 quarterback leagues because it's going to help me to have a little bit of experience heading into September 1st draft, the On the Money Sports Draft 2 quarterback league. And I'm excited because of the fact that not only did we get the 2 quarterback format implemented into East Coast Champs, but in South Jersey Brawlers League, the vote was passed to make it a 2 flex league. So everything is just branching out this year. Everybody's getting a little bit more experimental. They're willing to take more chances, and they're also willing to use formats that I am accustomed to. Mike D has officially checked in. The commissioner of the Sick Picks League, the commissioner of the Kingpins Dynasty League, and the Sick Money Superflex League, on top of Supreme Baller Society. The man wears many hats. Stick Up Kids 2025 campaign. And it's funny because we were talking shit in our group chat, the three of us together, and I thought about it. I didn't mention it in the group chat, but I thought about it to myself because when we were looking back at the league history for Sick Picks, I saw that Mikey eliminated me in the first round last year. And I said to myself, like, damn, like when it comes to the playoffs, me and Mikey truly have like a playoff rivalry in fantasy. Like, we play every single year. He eliminated me in Sick Picks. I eliminated him in Champions Dynasty League. It's just every year our paths seem to cross when it comes to the playoffs. I don't get to play everybody in the playoffs, but for some reason, me and Mikey, there's always some type of showdown in one of the leagues, and I expect no different this year. Saquon says hello. Hey, Paul, tell him I said fuck off. No love lost there from Mikey to Saquon Barkley. The grudge remains as fierce and as passionate as ever.
Jeez.
NFC East, AFC East breakdown coming next week on this podcast. The back and forths in the group chat, the shit talking. We are in the middle of the shit right now.
Damn, I lost our information, man.
Like, we are in the middle of the shit. I want you to understand that. We're doing our predictions now because we don't have time for anything else, because everything is already happening. Drafts are happening. Boards are being posted. 3 more drafts this weekend. More NFL information coming our way as far as injuries, who's at training camp, who's not at training camp,
Barkley is a beast.
who could potentially get the bag.
Ooh, and Eric's a Giants fan. Mikey's not going to like that.
Barkley is a beast. Take him, subtract his contributions from their total output offensively, and then go back and see how much they have without him. And you know, I just leave it at that. You know, I just leave it at that. But nonetheless, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. We will have plenty of time to talk NFC East, AFC East on next week's podcast and in the group chat, which is primarily a lot of NFC, AFC East. It's been on fire. Oscars, Pittsburgh Steelers goes up against all the NFC East teams. So the trash talking is just reaching a fever pitch. And that's how you know we are getting closer and closer to kickoff season. Like, it's really going down. It's going down. Ooh, nice.
That kind of tray.
Nice. Yeah, that's fancy.
So that's
fancy.
You know me, while y'all beering it up.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. I just want to pour a glass of whiskey right now. But we're here. We're here to break down the NFC South, AFC South. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. We're breaking down my division. So it's going to be feelings ball. But I am going to give you my unfiltered, uncensored, unbiased thoughts on everything. It's going to be easy to do it for the NFC South. AFC South is going to be a little bit more difficult.
New York
for
relying
me
on Danny Jones. The Danny Jones slander continues. Trash can Dan. Trash can Dan. Trash can Dan.
Mike, look at me. It ain't me. It ain't me, dog. You see me right here. I'm chilling in my Yankees gear, getting ready to talk some AFC South.
What's my gear? Let's wheel. Listen, man. I'm going to take a beautiful picture when we leave.
You guys got those tickets yet?
We're going to do it Sunday. I already told him while we're at his house.
Perfect. That'll be good. We got the Sick Picks draft in the afternoon.
We're buying the ticket Sunday.
So
it's going to end Sunday.
You guys are going to be...
If anybody doesn't like the selection that's picked, they're just not going.
You guys are going to be seeing...
So if it turns into just me, Mike, and Aiden, then it's me, Mike, and Aiden. If it's me, Mike, Alex, and Aiden, or it's just me, Mike, like whoever, like it's going down this week. 3
boards are going to be posted by the end of this weekend from the drafts that we're in. 3 different breakdowns,
just talking about
perspectives.
How we lost offense, Elon. You're not the nice guy.
I'm just stating the facts, bro. That's all I'm doing. And somebody has to be objective when it comes to this football team. It's not all sunshine and rainbows when it comes to this team, bro. It can't be. We got to get we got you need to ask Alex how he feels right now as far as the state of the New York Giants and Danny Dimes' performance in that preseason game the other night. Yeah, it's facts over feelings, bro. It's facts over feelings, and that's exactly my approach for tonight's podcast while talking about my favorite team ever. Yeah, I mean they better win the South. If they don't, if they don't, they're frauds. All right, if they don't, they're frauds. You got to be able to duplicate what you did last year, and if you can't do that, the South is up for grabs, and the Texans are just one of the other teams that could win the division. Like, you better win it. It's a no-brainer. There's no money in betting on the Texans to win the division. It's minus money right now because it's a foregone conclusion that they should win it. However, last year when it was all fun and games and they were just free balling, having the time of their life out there, there was no expectations. Don't get me wrong. They have a great coaching staff. CJ Stroud could potentially be that guy. They loaded up this year. Nico Collins is probably the best second to third round pick that you could have in the draft this year if he's healthy. I think Nico Collins is the true wide receiver one, which that's a conversation that we can have when we get to it. But at the end of the day, now you're dealing with a Houston Texans team that's going out there with a first-place schedule. I just looked at their schedule to do some research for tonight's podcast. That shit is no joke. Like, this schedule is going to be the reason why a lot of the football teams that we talk about tonight don't make it to the tournament. Because you're not just going to line up 6 contenders in a row and knock them all off. Like, even if you are a contender, this shit is hard. It's tough out here. So, and Paul starting us off saying that he still feels Tampa Bay's the favorite for the NFC. So why don't we start with the NFC?
The AFC?
With NFC. We'll start with the NFC South. He says Tampa Bay is still the favorite to win the NFC South. So what are your thoughts and feelings as far as not just that division, but what we're breaking down tonight, some of the things that stand out to you more or less? Like, what are you looking for here?
You want to start from last?
Yeah, everyone do it.
Well, Carolina fans, it's going to be another long year for you guys. I have you at 4-13. I just don't see enough. I'm sorry.
4-13.
Can the defense? Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. My notes for Panthers, big capital letters. Rebuild.
I mean, yeah, there's no denying that.
I have no expectations for this team. Just want to see some improvement. Even if those out of these 13 losses, if 5 of them are just, we almost had them, then it's improvement. But if it's blowout, like I think it might be, at least next year they'll have their number 1 pick. And Chicago won't have it.
Are you expecting any type of growth or development from Bryce Young this year?
I don't know what to expect. I mean, his head coach now is the same guy who led Baker Mayfield to that great year that Baker had last year. You know, those were all career highs from Baker Mayfield last year. So it's going to be seen. Is it because he was the reason Baker did good, or is it because Baker was surrounded with some talent and he actually had competent coaching around him? Or that, McVay unlocked something with him when he was playing for the Rams those couple games 2 years ago. So I hope to see improvement. I hope to see Bryce Young look like a competent NFL quarterback, but he did not look like a competent NFL quarterback. I see nothing in him last year that made me say, oh, wow, he can be great.
It can't be any worse than last year. It can't get any worse than last year for them. And now they have Deontay Johnson as the primary wide receiver.
Drops him.
A PPR machine. But when you think about what does Bryce Young need? Bryce Young needs a guy like that, Yeah, he's not the best option out there, but he's somebody that you can throw the ball to. It's like him having like a Terry McLaurin or somebody. It's not the sexiest name out there.
It could help,
but you got to help the kid out. Like,
one thing about Deontay Johnson, he gets open. That's what his separation is It's one of the best separations I've seen since AB. Like, he runs his routes crisp. He runs his routes precisely.
We're not going to sit here and act like the Panthers did everything to help Bryce Young last year. They threw him to the wolves. There you go. Here's Adam Thielen.
And we're going to see. Like, I hope there's significant improvement this year.
Bryce Young needs a team. The Panthers are devoid of skilled players. Yeah, I mean, you got Jonathan Brooks, who's probably not going to be back until October.
What could help Bryce Young is if you get Philly Miles Sanders, which he's looked okay this preseason. Like, he's looked way better than what he did last year.
He's looked good.
Right now, he's looking like he's RB1, not Chuba Hubbard.
I picked him up off waivers.
I repeat, not Chuba Hubbard.
I picked him up off waivers in Superflex. Chuba Hubbard is going to be the other option until Jonathan Brooks gets back. Jonathan Brooks is the future of that running back room, though.
But if Miles, gets it going, it looks like Philly, like, there's no need. Like, you can split those carries. You can keep him fresh, but you're going to keep feeding him the rock.
Yeah,
and Chuba's the third guy on the chart.
I do not have the Panthers in last place in this division.
Whoa.
I do not have the Panthers in last place in the NFC South. My last place team in the NFC South is the New Orleans Saints. I think that
the elite Derek Carr?
I think this is the year. What do they really have? What do they have? You got Alvin Kamara, you got Chris Olave, a quarterback that can barely get the ball to either one of them, and you got nothing else. This is the year. Don't be surprised if Dennis Allen is the first coach that gets fired this season. He'll be the first one gone. They're not just going to be in last place. They are going to start the year as the drizzling shits. Because I'm going to go now to the vaunted schedule. The schedule makers really did not give this team a shot in hell. Last year, they held on as best they could, but it was still ugly to watch. They were an ugly brand of football last year. And I think there's too many holes with this football team for them to be able to just fix that in one offseason. I'm sorry, but they did not make any moves that make me feel like, okay, this team can take this division back. At one point, yes, the NFC South did belong to the Saints. We are long gone from that time.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on. The Bucs proved last year they are the best as far as like that. And now you got everything that Atlanta did this year to, recoup and get their shit together. Like, you've got at least the Panthers are in rebuild. What are the Saints? What are they? They're supposed to be a division winner and a contender, and they are not. They are not that right now.
The Saints might have a 4-turnover first game, Paul said.
I've got them at 5-12. I've got them being absolutely terrible. Don't be surprised if Carolina takes it to them week 1 for the divisional matchup upset from the upstart Panthers. They've got Carolina to start the year, followed by Dallas, Philly, Atlanta, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Denver, Chargers, Carolina, Atlanta, Cleveland, bye week, Rams, Giants, Washington, Packers, Raiders, Bucks.
They could get some wins.
Yeah, some. Minimal.
I have them in third place at 8 and 9.
8 and 9?
But I did flirt with 7 and 10.
I think they're going to be terrible, bro. I really don't think that the New Orleans Saints are going to be good this year. Now,
I put the Saints are just mid.
Yes.
Carr is who he is. The defense is still good, but the offense needs to do its part. But the defense is also getting older.
Yes, they are. And they were getting burned. They were trying to hold it together for a large portion of the year. And the bottom fell out.
I got 8 and 9. Paul, you think 8 wins is too much for them? 5-12 sounds right. So he agrees with you.
I see the Saints having a bad year, like so bad that Dennis Allen loses his job. Carr potentially is not the quarterback out there next year, which you could throw him into the names in the hat for spots that are looking for starting quarterbacks for next year. Because I don't think he stays with the Saints after this season.
Carr, Pittsburgh Steelers 2025. Oof.
You got a lot of football teams that we're discussing each and every week right now who their quarterbacks' jobs are not promised heading into the next season.
Pittsburgh Steelers have no
new
commitment,
new faces in new places. It's going to be the theme for 2025.
It's like I keep saying to people, they have no commitments. Like for my team, They have no commitment to him. In other words, it's play the year out, prove you deserve a contract, and we'll give you another one.
And we also have all these teams with rookie and sophomore quarterbacks. That nothing's promised there.
I mean,
those guys.
There's a quarterback in this division that nothing's promised to either. That just joined the team. That we're going to discuss soon enough. Because I'm pretty sure you probably got them in the same place I got them.
Well,
so before I get to them,
as far as third place,
I've
got the Panthers.
Okay, so you got third place Panthers, last place Saints. I got third place Saints, last place Panthers. For second place, I got the Bucks at 9-8.
Okay,
it's pretty much the same record as they had last year. I think they're going to be inconsistent at times. I don't think Baker takes a step back. I think Baker repeats what he did last year. I don't think Baker goes above and beyond what he did last year. But if Baker still throws 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, keeps his interceptions low, this team has a chance to go for the wild card. It's about the defense, because at times the Bucs defense was putrid. And then there were times where they were elite. So it's like they need to put it together. Offensively, I still think Rachaad White is a good running back. I think it's Rachaad White season this year. I think Mike Evans, he's a year older. Doesn't matter to me. He's still Mike freaking Evans. Chris Godwin's still there. And fantasy sleeper darling right now, Cade Otton.
I'm a Cade Otton guy.
I like the kid.
Cade Otton guy for sure.
This could be the year he breaks out.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Of course you want that.
No, but when you think about
the people that are around him, he's got White,
exactly.
Evans,
that's what
Godwin,
I'm saying. Like when you think about the pass catchers around him with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who's thinking about Cade Otton? Steelers sign Phillip Rivers. Here's okay. So Bucks have their bye week 11. Before their bye week, here's their slate of games. They have week 1 opening up against the Washington Commanders. You know, a lot of, again, new faces and new places. Rookie quarterback that's going to be the official starter. They're trying to figure things out. Detroit week 2, Denver, Philly, Atlanta, New Orleans,
not to
Baltimore,
cut you off, but the Detroit,
Atlanta, Kansas City, San Francisco.
They showed they can hang with Detroit. People are still questioning Todd Bowles why he didn't take a timeout.
Yeah, it was a decent game. It was a decent game. Better than what people thought it would be. But that's part of because of how their defense. And I think they're going to be a stout team with their defense. But even though I've got the Bucks in second as well, I've got them at 8-9. I think that they're going to be able to beat some teams any given Sunday, but in the final weeks of the in the hunt wild card race, I think that Tampa Bay is going to just fall short of the playoffs. Looking at the stretch at the back end, you got Vegas. Sounds like they're going to be a wild card team.
That's a W.
Chargers are always a wild card team. Dallas, and then you end the season with Carolina and New Orleans, which is a nice soft cushion. But at the end of the day, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. I will at least give Carolina enough respect to say that could potentially be the trap game that does Tampa Bay in week 17. Now with Carolina, I've got them at 6-11 in third place. So it's, I've got 5-12 Saints, 6-11 Panthers, 8-9 Bucks. None of those teams making the playoffs.
I haven't done that yet. For the NFC is normally the weaker conference, so
I don't have any 8 and 9s.
My son is due to be born during the Eagles-Bucks game. The Birds better win.
Oh, that's really cool, man. That is really, really cool. What date is that? The Eagles and Bucks game. Oh, dumb. Right in front of me. Week 4. Okay. All right, so towards the end of September.
And Paul just said, y'all really putting too much faith in Kirk Cousins. With that said, I have the Falcons going 11-6.
I got them going 12-5.
I got Falcons need Kirk to be all in. There's a little tension there. Because there's probably truth to the fact that a theory going around in circles is if he knew they were going to draft Penix, he probably would have stayed with Minnesota. and had just mentored whoever Minnesota came. At least he didn't have to uproot his family and all that.
True.
He's got weapons on all sides. His window's closing. He's only getting older. Kirk Cousins ain't young. Will Pitts finally go off this season? And will Drake London become a top 5, 6, 7, 8 type wide receiver with the addition of Kirk Cousins? Not to mention the additions of Justin Simmons and Matthew Judon to that defense that already has some good players to go with it.
Those are some great ads this past week by them to a defense that's already stout. That they needed run support last year. That defense, that's what they needed. They didn't get the run support, and eventually a defense could only hold up for so long.
Did you remember the day I was born? Fuck yeah, I do. Y'all own that ish, according to Paul.
Dude, I can't see it with the Panthers. It's too soon with them. I definitely don't see it with the New Orleans Saints. I have no faith in them. I think Tampa more or less is going to be kind of the same as the team they were last year, and it was pretty easy to win this division last year. What did they win it with, a 9-8 record? If I'm not mistaken. They won it with 9-8. This year, I'm giving them one less win this season, and I'm giving the edge to Atlanta because of everything that they've done. Because of the fact that we know what Kirk Cousins is in the playoffs, but we're not talking playoffs yet. We're talking about winning a division and regular season. And we all know that during the regular season, Kirk Cousins can put those numbers up. You've got the weapons to be able to do it.
How many primetime games they got, the Atlanta Falcons?
Doesn't show me that here. I've got all the numbers but the times. The times are going to be subject to change as well. So they just show home and away.
Let me check
win probability for a lot of the games. But I mean, you start off the year, Pittsburgh, Philly, Kansas City, New Orleans, Tampa, Carolina, Seattle, Tampa. That's manageable. You could end that little run right there, the first 8 weeks, with a winning record. And then you've got Dallas, New Orleans, and Denver before going into the bye week. And then coming out of the bye week, you've got the Chargers, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Giants, the Commanders,
Kirk Cousins is on prime time four times.
All winnable games.
It's on four winnable games. His first primetime game is the second week against the Eagles in Philly. Then following week, he's got the Chiefs in Atlanta on primetime.
Do I have Atlanta sweeping the division? I don't know, because division games are tough. I could see Tampa stealing one and the Falcons ending up going like 5-1. But yeah, I've got them at 12-5. Like, their schedule is not hard, yo. I'm telling, like, you're going to have to put the cupcake emoji up, and they will get tested come playoff time by a real team that they may or may not have faced during the regular season, but they're going to cruise. I think they're going to cruise. They made the right moves. They improved their defense, and I think that they are head and shoulders better than everybody else in that division as of right now. They've got the best quarterback in that division as of right now. You know? Wide receiver, that's a different conversation, because, you know, Tampa got Mike Evans, they got Chris Godwin. We're all looking at what the potential for Drake London and Chris Olave are to be in that upper echelon. This is going to be the year where we're going to be able to see, like, what can Drake London's production be with a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins? Not a Desmond Ridder, but a Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
Age like milk. I will stand by this take. I'm super confident because I don't have any confidence in the rest of that division, bro. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. I think they're going to run away with this division. I think the Saints are going to crash and burn right away. The Panthers are going to be spunky, and Tampa Bay is going to stay alive.
Like milk. Ooh.
Tampa's going to stay alive up until like week 17, 16, 17, and it's just not going to be enough for them to be able to get into the dance. Like, I'm sorry. I like everything that the Atlanta Falcons did, even with the questionable decision to draft Michael Penix. Michael Penix is going to have a nice setup whenever he's ready to start. He's the 27-year-old guy, rookie, right? He's a little older. So
24, 25.
24, 25. So you brought Kirk Cousins in not just to be competitive. You brought him in to win the division and potentially put yourself in a position where you are taking that trip to the NFC title game to San Francisco or Detroit. Like, because let's face it, NFC South, you win that division, you're looking at the 3 seed or the 4 seed. You're going to take that trip. I'm not saying that home field advantage. If anything, I'm probably going to bump up the 49ers and give them one more win because I'm giving the Falcons the 12-5. But like, you didn't make this move for Kirk Cousins just to compete. You did it to go out there and win football
you did it to
games.
go win a championship.
You know, you put yourself in that exact same spot where the Vikings were with Kirk Cousins, basically. Like, to be able to win the division, to be able to get into the playoffs and hopefully make some noise once you get there. Now, you know, real life playoffs, we know what Kirk Cousins is, but, you know, I'm not worried about that. I'm not a Falcons fan. I don't need him to be great for me in the real playoffs. I'm just saying that I'm willing to put a wager on the Atlanta Falcons taking that division and having a good year. This schedule, no offense, Oscar, but they got the Steelers week 1. Philly suspect to me week 2. Kansas City, we know that Kansas City doesn't really wake up until November. And then New Orleans, Tampa, Carolina, Seattle, manageable, bro. All manageable, all winnable football games. So we might not even know who Atlanta really is, but we're going to know that they have a good record. Come playoff time, that shit could dissolve, but I just 12-5, bro. 12-5.
I got 11-6. We're not far off.
No, not at all. Not with none of the records, actually.
Aaron Judge just hit a homer.
Another one?
I don't know if another. I just seen it pop up on my thing for fantasy.
That's 2 for you. You better thank that man. He's keeping you alive. He's keeping you alive in the playoffs. Damn, did he hit another one? That's crazy. But yeah, that's what I got. Yeah, he did. I'm going against them. It's now 8-0 Yankees over the Cleveland Guardians in the bottom of the 7th. Putting a beat down on the good old Cleveland Indians.
Amazing job.
And the Phillies are now tied 2-2. Look at that. You guys are tied up with the Braves right now. A little bit of live scores because there's a lot of action going on right now. Like we're man. We are going to continue to bring I got it all in the notebook, dog. And this is the notebook where I had my predictions for the other 2 divisions. So I have it all here. I have it all together. And I'm going to be bringing it to the podcast during the NFL season. And we are going to be discussing everything we got right and everything we got wrong, man. Like I see an underwhelming Saints team with a head coach that's going to be losing his job. We want to talk about having the hot seat conversation. Dennis Allen is on that seat already, folks. A Panthers team that we know is in rebuild, 6-11, a lot of losing with a few bright spots and a situation where I think Bryce Young is going to look a little bit better now that he has somebody like a Deontay Johnson there with him. And then hopefully when Jonathan Brooks comes back in October, he can be everything that they thought he was when they drafted him. Panthers know how to draft running backs. So I'll give them credit for that. Like in their system, they managed
Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. That one.
They have Christian McCaffrey. Like they're a team that no matter what they look like or what their standings are, like they're going to have a solid run game, bro. So I, like you, think that Miles Sanders could potentially go into the fountain of youth this year and have himself a good September to the point where we're picking him up on the waiver wire. We're trying to trade him off, sell high Septembers.
Falcons
you know what I mean?
Gonna look like flamingos, 7-10.
I mean, if that happens, then we're talking about the worst division in football, man.
Yeah,
we're talking about the Bucs winning the division with a 9-8, 8-9 record again.
Like Brady's last year when they were 8-9 and got
like that would be crazy for them to bring in Judon, for them to bring in Matthew Judon, for them to bring in Justin Simmons to an already good defense that was pretty good at stopping the run game. That was, their opponents were averaging maybe 21, 22 points at one point. I think like once that game with Levis happened, like
Paul said, it's gonna be the worst division.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it, and not like I don't really have much faith in the rest of those teams. That would be highly disappointing for Atlanta to go out there and do everything that they did in the last couple of years and to turn in another lackluster performance would be just a crime, like an absolute crime and a travesty of epic proportions. I don't know, man. I see 12-5. I really do. It's been the worst division for a while now. So do you guys think that it stays the same? Like, Mike, do you think the Atlanta Falcons sweep the entire division? I think I think Tampa steals one. And they go 5-1 at least.
I think Mike thinks the Falcons are going to be good because he's putting stock into Kyle Pitts this year.
I think he just likes his situation.
With our little our group text messages. Mike, I just want you to know, in either league this weekend, Nick's league, your league, I pick ahead of you, and Amon-Ra is there, I'm taking him. And as I take him, I'm just going to smile at you like Jim did through the window to Dwight.
I got stock in Drake.
So just remember that.
Let's go.
And when I'm done taking him, remember what I said in the group chat? I'm just going to say Dito.
Shout out to Alex, bro. You got stock in Drake London. I do too. I drafted him this past weekend as my wide receiver 2. And I'm more excited about his situation than I ever have been.
Oh, Drake London should have at least a 12 to 1,300 yard season.
Kyle Pitts is going to help them get there because we're talking about a football team that I think is going to be pretty well balanced across the board. Like, let's not forget, they have a defense and they have a quarterback that can get the ball to his wide receivers. You guys are more than willing to bet against me when it comes to this take on the Atlanta Falcons, but I'm standing my ground on it. There's not enough threats, especially in this division.
Kyle Pitts isn't going to make them 12-5.
I think that it's going to be a combination of a lot of the things that they did during this offseason and the fact that they have a legitimate starting quarterback that
I know Malik Neighbors is going to be that player.
There's always a good fantasy player on bad teams. Falcons, I don't think the Falcons are going to be a bad team, though. And you got to compare them to what's happening inside their division, too. You got to, we're talking about, I've got the Saints at 5-12, the Panthers at 6-11. That's going to bump up one of the teams in that division and give them a couple more wins. And that team, to me, is going to be the Atlanta Falcons, man. Like, it's going to be weird. It's been a while since we've seen it. But, I could see them potentially taking that 3 seed, maybe behind the San Francisco 49ers and the Detroit Lions, being the number 3 seed, hosting a playoff game, probably screwing that up for themselves. But nonetheless, to be able to get that far, that's progress compared to where this team was.
But Mike, you got to see 10-7 or 11-6, bro. If you don't see 12-5.
Yeah, what's your prediction for the Falcons? What do you?
Yeah, what do you say? Who's winning? Who's winning the South, Mike, in the NFC?
I can say Tampa Bay. He ain't gonna say the Panthers.
Paul's already said Tampa, so let's hear what you got to say, tough guy.
Yeah, I am okay with picking 12-5. If you go back and look at the records and you go back and look at the teams that Atlanta's going to play this year, like they've got a cupcake schedule. It's a shame names would be even better. Mr. One probably pops all the time. You know what? You're absolutely right. We all got to pray for Malik Neighbors. I saw this past week Malik Neighbors was going in the 3rd round and a lot of redrafts. And man, God bless you, because that's tough. That is really tough. Like, I like Malik Neighbors, but I say 9-8, maybe 10 it'd be 10-7 now with the extra game. So, and 10-7 could win the South. Like 10-7 is more than enough to win the NFC South. So, okay. 9-8 can win the South. We saw that last year. So,
agreed.
Is there anything else with this division? We got me thinking Dennis Allen's going to be fired. Saints are going to be terrible, but Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara are going to be great for fantasy. Panthers, scrappy, still bad. Bucks, not as good as last year, but
because it's only
not
a matter
terrible.
of time before AJ is yelling at his boy, Mr. 50 million. I fell off the cell phone tower, but I'm back, boys. Yo, you better not get in trouble by the wifey, Chris.
Hope you're enjoying the first day on vacation, my friend. Happy birthday to you, dog. You got old money filling in for you, taking his spot back. Noli's taking Tampa to win the division at 10-7, and that's a possibility too. You can't rule that out. Look, if the Tampa Bay defense comes to play, and they back up that offense, let's not act like Baker Mayfield doesn't have the weapons. Like, it's not a knock on Baker or the Bucs that I have them at 8-9.
It's that little stretch.
I don't like the stretch of games that they have lined up. Like, I think they're going to be overmatched by a lot of these teams because, you know, Atlanta's not getting the first place schedule. Tampa Bay is. And like that first place schedule, I think for them is just going to be kind of brutal because Tampa Bay got to where they were last year by avoiding the first place schedule. And still they went 9-8, not having a first place schedule.
You're right.
So, you know, we saw what the first place schedule did to New Orleans. Destroyed them. And this year, I think it's just going to be worse. There's no bright side for that football team that is still in cap hell right now as we speak.
Agreed.
So now we move on to the South.
The AFC South.
Here's my thing. Before you go, here's my thing. Now, 3 years ago, all you guys had the Indianapolis Colts pegged to win the South. I'm old enough to remember Matty Ice going to the Colts and everybody saying, that's the Colts division. Division runs through Indy. Nobody else has a chance. The Colts, Colts, Colts. 2 years ago, your darlings were the Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year, it's the Houston Texans now. It's the Texans division. It runs through the Texans. So this year, I want to know how you guys got it. How much disrespect is going to be served this year to my Tennessee Titans? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Do you got us in last place?
I do have you in last place.
Perfect. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I have the Tennessee Titans at 7-10.
Like? Is it?
It's going to be ugly at first.
Oh, nice.
But I think down the stretch, if Will Levis is who Will Levis is going to be, it's going to be a nice December to look upon and say, 2025, here we come.
Chris. Well, Alex thinks we're finishing last too. So that's two people so far that have the Titans finishing in last place.
The Tennessee Titans are in a rebuild, whether you want to accept it or not.
It's not about what I accept. It's what's happening. It's
but if Levis gets it, 2025, they might be able to go after the division.
There's a lot of talent.
Because they're still going to have Calvin Ridley. They're going to still have Tyjae Spears, Tony Pollard. Can Traylon Burks emerge now with Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, he got hurt today in practice, so I don't know.
Traylon Burks?
Yeah, he's already hurt. He got hurt today. He hurt his back. He's limping off. Paul has the Titans in the third place.
Too much mayonnaise is not good enough for the heart.
Paying a lousy quarterback too much money ain't good for the heart either. 6 years into his career. Oh, you got another home run. Jackson Merrill. I should have never let him go, man. I should have never let him go. That was a stupid decision on my part just to go get a pitcher. Jackson Merrill's been on a heater ever since I dropped him.
So, yeah.
So you got us at 7 and 10?
I think the first couple weeks are going to be rough. However, if Will Levis is to get hurt, and the next man up is Mason Rudolph, I could see you guys winning more games than that.
Oh, let me guess, because he's a Pittsburgh Steeler. That's why, because he's your boy. He's a Yinzer.
He's a pro.
Right? He's a Yinzer.
He's got experience.
So that's gonna give us an automatic boost because it's Mason Rudolph, who 4 years ago got his head bashed in by a helmet, and now all of a sudden, he's gonna.
He should have been starting.
He's gonna Tannehill.
He should have been starting the last 2 years in Pittsburgh.
Well, you guys had other ideas.
You're right, which was retarded. However, I could see him, but
part of him avoiding sacks is the O-line having to play better, honestly, like in fairness. And Will Levis has to improve on his intermediate throws. Like I'm going to make a comparison between two of these teams based on their quarterbacks from last year. But, go ahead.
I don't think it's a bad year to go 7 and 10 if you see improvement, which they should.
Yeah.
The AFC South is not a barn burner. Like, we just made fun of saying the NFC South is the worst in football.
I think he's saying it without saying it.
AFC South is almost right there.
I mean, it has the potential to be one of the better divisions in football a year from now, after this season.
We don't know what everybody's getting hyped for Anthony Richardson, and we don't know what we're getting with him.
Anthony Richardson.
The Bengals defense was clowning the guy, saying that
they had him figured out. They had him figured out, like his plays.
They were calling him out left and right.
Yeah, it was bad.
You know, so he's only played like 3 professional football games.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are the equivalent of the Mud Dogs and T.J. Watt is Bobby Boucher.
And the New York Football Giants are the equivalent of a Calgary Stampede League team.
Who has the better QB room, Titans or the Steelers? Levis and Russell Wilson.
Listen,
I don't know.
I'm gonna eat it all.
I don't know
because I'm telling you.
Because I don't hate Russ. I don't hate Russ.
I'm going to be one bad. I'm gonna get banned.
That's what Levis got when it comes to the pressure. Hey, he's got to develop. This has to be the year he develops. You know, you mentioned Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson hasn't even played 4 quarters of football yet. He's got 3.5 quarters under his belt. Now, he's shown flashes in those 3.5 quarters. Explosiveness. But only 3.5 quarters. We don't know who he is.
We don't.
Which could be an advantage. It could be an advantage.
We don't know about Trevor. And quite honestly, the CJ Stroud's not catching anybody off guard this year. There's expectations there now.
Wilson is cancerous. He got a cannon, though. Crazy flash. Absolutely crazy flashes. And Will Levis and Anthony Richardson need to learn the QB slide. Anthony Richardson, stop diving and landing head first. And Will Levis, stop trying to hit up with 300-pound linemen. Like, you don't need to do that. Your career is not.
Levis has a beautiful arm.
He needs to work on his intermediate passes, though.
His intermediate passes,
and he's got.
And he got to feel the pressure.
Like he's got the weapons.
You can't be like that quarterback in New York who still can't feel a pocket.
Can't read.
Or the other quarterback
pick sixes. Well, Will Levis is going to be starting in the final preseason game for the Titans, so the starters are going to be out there for a bit.
He hasn't played at all yet.
No.
Young quarterbacks need to play.
This was
young quarterbacks need to play.
What we were doing because of the new regime was we were having Malik Willis play for his career, and sadly he did that, and now he's going to be the QB3 for this football team. So potentially that ship has sailed.
DJ got the opposite
based off his performance. Will Levis over Danny Dimes all day. All right.
We already know the bet.
Twice on Sunday.
Total touchdowns.
Levis versus Jones. Rushing, passing.
What do y'all?
I got that in the bag.
What was the prize?
It's a $50 bet that I made with one of our in-house Giants fans, Mateo. He wanted to run his mouth and say that Danny Dimes was going to have more touchdowns this year than Will Levis. I just want you to know if Danny Dimes gets benched, that bet still holds. I don't want to hear it. So if Will Levis has 27 touchdowns and Danny Dimes has 7, I don't care. Levis versus Daniel Jones for the 2025 first pick. See, I don't see that. You know.
Listen, you could clown my quarterbacks. We're paying them a total of $5 million this year. You're paying Daniel Jones $40 million
we ain't paying
to
Levis
do
shit.
that crap that he's done since he's entered the league.
We ain't paying Levis
so,
shit.
If your quarterback situation isn't stable, don't talk about the Steelers situation.
We ain't paying Levis shit. And the thing is, if he does good, then it's like, damn, we got to pay him. Like, so either way, it's the scenarios and the storylines are going to unfold however they perform. It's going to create, more conversation.
Regardless.
And more storylines.
Back to the task at hand. Like I said, I got the Titans 7-10. Who is in last place in the South for you?
The Jaguars. I've got the Jaguars at 5-12.
Woo!
I think that the Jaguars are similar to how the New Orleans Saints crashed and burned last year, and I think it's going to trickle into this season. The same exact thing is going to happen for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are outmatched in their own division, and they are outmatched in the AFC as a total. You let your best pass-catching threat go to the direct opposition in the Tennessee Titans? Who's their wide receiver one out there? Evan Ingram, the rookie, Brian Robinson. Don't say Gabe Davis. Please don't say Gabe Davis is the wide receiver one for the Jacksonville Jaguars because they won't make it out alive.
It's the man who started the wide receiver contract frenzy.
Christian Kirk? I mean, that's a better answer than Gabe Davis. But listen, for fantasy football, Brian Robinson and Travis Etienne they're going to be great. I think Etienne's going to have a great year. I think Brian Thomas Jr., sorry. I think he's going to be great. But once again, just like the New Orleans Saints, when it comes to the collapse they had last year trickling into this year, I see the same thing for Jacksonville, and I see Dougie P losing his job because of the piss-poor performance that they have this year. Like, they're overhyped, dog. They're overhyped and overvalued, and that ship has sailed. The rest of the division has grown and developed. What has Trevor Lawrence done? This division was theirs for the taking last year. All he had to do was go and beat us last year. An absolute shit show version of the Tennessee Titans that they couldn't beat. Brian Thomas, sorry. $275 million QB in last place is crazy. They just really got. I think every team in this division is going to be better than the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think it could potentially cost Dougie P his job. And Tony Khan's dad is going to have to figure out what he's going to do because he's got a couple of bad investments. One is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The other is AEW because they can't even fill half the freaking stadium. So he's going to have to figure out what he's going to do, cut his losses, and make some moves. Like I've been telling y'all what the Jacksonville Jaguars are for a couple years, but nobody wanted to listen. They were your darlings. That you guys had them pegged to own the set. You guys had them in the Super Bowl. I'm old enough to remember that shit.
I don't know who did that.
And now look at this team. Now look at how far gone this team is.
Send Trevor to AEW to finish out his contract.
We're not slandering AEW. Oh, yes, we are. Oh, yes, we are. Hey, Alex said, F that, dog. I went too far. I went too far with the AEW slander with that one. Appreciate you tuning into the pod,
Third place, I have the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay.
At 8-9. Colts, my notes, need Richardson to take the leap and stay healthy.
That's crazy to think we don't even have 4 quarters of him playing football yet.
JT, can he get back to dominance?
I remember Anthony, like me being here, watching Anthony Richardson go off for 2 touchdowns in a game and then getting hurt.
Oh, I know.
He was on pace to have.
That messed my parlay. Remember, that was my parlay breaker.
This dude was
because I had him passing for like 200 yards. I had him rush. No. I had him rushing for 2 touchdowns. Remember that? I had a rushing touchdown. I had a passing. It was a rushing touchdown and combined yardage for like 200 yards of passing and running.
This dude was gonna have like 70 fantasy.
And I missed the parlay by freaking 25 yards. Everything else hit.
In the Indianapolis, bro. You just lived this entire thing with Andrew Luck.
Yeah.
You just lived
But this is different, though. Their offensive line isn't what Andrew Luck had. Its line's better.
Bro, Andrew Luck had a great offensive line. Andrew Luck had a top 5 offensive line.
Not until he retired.
Andrew Luck had a top 5 offensive line.
His first couple of seasons,
and Matt Stafford,
that line was shaky.
Carson Wentz and Matt Stafford inherited that same amazing offensive line, and they both shit the bed with an immaculate football team. The Indianapolis Colts were one of the most well-balanced teams in the trenches.
He retired when that line had finally gotten good. Like, he was going to come back to a second year, that line being good.
He took a beating.
And I get it.
He took a beating.
But I don't blame the line for his injuries. I blame his rushing and scrambling and not staying in the pocket and letting the play develop.
Well, I blame ownership for not protecting their players because Jonathan Taylor's already been hurt every single season. You literally had a franchise. Andrew Luck was the franchise. Andrew Luck willed this team into the playoffs, into an AFC title appearance.
Andrew was getting killed in his younger days, but in his later season, when he got hurt again, it was kind of his fault because he was scrambling. That line he had, and that Colts line from 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021 was really good. Now they're about an average. They're not shitty, but a lot of Richardson's injuries came from him running.
The improv.
Yeah, that's where his injuries, like the touchdown. He got hurt on the touchdown.
Dog, his head bounced off the freaking field.
Like but you got
the back of his head.
You scored, bro. What are you doing? Still like you're gonna score. Why are you trying to take that physicality on? There's no need for that.
If he stays healthy in that game, he's dropping like 70 fantasy points.
I will not argue that.
He had 2 touchdowns immediately.
I will not argue that. Did the Colts end up losing that game?
Yeah, I think they did.
They did.
Now they made the playoffs. They lost to Houston. So credit, they found a way to still make.
They didn't make the playoffs.
They missed the playoffs last year. They didn't play it wasn't the Texans and the Colts last year. That was 2 years ago. And the Texans
beat them. And
that was last year.
That eliminated them from the playoffs.
Oh, that was the
Minshew play.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. So it was the regular season, but playoff implications.
They were in the playoff.
Yeah.
The Colts were in the playoff matchup all the way to the end. Same thing this year. I got them as a fringe playoff team. I know 8-9 says a lot. Oh my God, it's the AFC. Injuries occur. If this guy stays healthy, I could see them easily being right there with the Texans for this division.
3rd place and 2nd place for me are interchangeable for multiple reasons.
Well, so's my 3rd and 2nd.
With Anthony Richardson, we've only got not even 4 quarters of what he can do. There's not enough time, which could work to his advantage because there's not film.
Or it could be his disadvantage.
Or it could be his disadvantage because he can't stay on the field.
Yes.
And we saw what the product looked like with Anthony Richardson not being on the field. It's a lot more limited. It's a lot more
Gardner Minshew this
relying
year
on the running back.
It's
Flacco. It's Joe Flacco this year. So, I mean, there could be some Flacco magic in the works. Side note, the Yankees win. Let's go. First place in the East.
Another Flacco.
Can you imagine if he comes in and does what he did with the Browns? But my 2 teams in 2nd and 3rd are interchangeable because I have the records of 8-9 and 9-8. Will Levis, he didn't have a full season last year. He started 4 or 5 games. So when it comes to Levis, when it comes to Richardson, we don't know. We know there's potential, but right now CJ Stroud's star shines brighter than all the other rookie quarterbacks because of what Houston was able to do last year. We don't really know what we're getting with Will Levis and Anthony Richardson yet. We know that both teams have done their due diligence to try to surround their young quarterbacks with as much talent as possible. With that being said, I've got the Colts in 3rd at 8-9, and I've got the Tennessee Titans in 2nd at 9-8. However,
bro, you giving them the push.
However, I would not be surprised if they swap spots, and you have the Titans at 8-9 and the Indianapolis Colts at 9-8. If it's a situation where Anthony Richardson does stay healthy and he's got them competing in a lot of these football games, because I think the defense of the Colts is still going to be good. JT is still going to be JT. Michael Pittman is going to have himself a good year. This is me banking on both Will Levis and Anthony Richardson being on the field. What I don't like for my team is the fact that DeAndre Hopkins is already hurt. They're saying he's going to be ready to go by week 1. Traylon Burks got hurt today. Puts a little bit more pressure on Calvin Ridley to perform and some of the other pass catchers that we have, the younger guys. And not for nothing, Kyle Phillips is not the answer because that's another kid that can't stay healthy. You've got the new regime, Bill Callahan. We know, or Brian Callahan, Bill's working as the offensive lines coach right now.
Father and son.
Brian Callahan, new coach in this system. We know that we're going to be throwing the ball more. We know that Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears are in a timeshare right now. Neither one is the RB1 at the moment. Let me see that again. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson has arm soreness and was held out of practice. It is unknown if he will play in the final preseason game. That's interesting because they're looking to shop Dorian Thompson Jr.
Yeah.
So, do they still try to trade away the young kid? Because this guy can't stay healthy. Deshaun Watson can't stay healthy.
Nope.
That's been his story for basically the entirety of his career. Could have had CJ. I know that boy praying to the stars. A Rich pans out. Listen, I've got. Look, come on, bro. I'm being objective here, dude. Like I think that the Tennessee Titans, our ceiling, I should say, is second place.
Jamar Chase wants $40 million a year.
Ooh, better pay him.
That's the rumor.
You better pay that man. So yes, I do for now have the Tennessee Titans at 9-8. But like I just said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts jump ahead of us. The Colts take the 9-8, and we end up with an 8-9. Hey, potentially a 7-10 record, like he said. There's a lot of moving parts with this football team. I still need to see what this defense looks like. I know we got Ladarius Sneed, we got Awuzie, so the secondary is definitely better than what we had last year. I'm just a little bit nervous about what our pass rush is going to look like and what our offensive line is going to look like. Like, are we going to be able to protect Will Levis and give him the time to be able to make throws, or is he going to be running for his life, which is going to lead to more injuries, more bad passes, and more turnovers? They gave Burrow the bread. He's been hurt a lot. Titans 5-12. Nah, I don't really see it being that bad for us, man. Like I think we're going to be a decent football team. I don't think we're going to be amazing this year, but 9-8 gives us a fighting chance to get into that wild card. But I think that the Titans and the Colts are in the same boat right now, where you don't really know what you have at quarterback. You know, you've seen flashes of what the quarterback can do while they're on the field, but both guys got hurt last year. You know, very, very limited sample size of what we got. So this year, they're going to be able to write their own stories as far as this next chapter of their career and what they can do for these football teams. Not everyone can beat 12-5. I get it. Like the Giants, right? The Titans going 9-8 would be amazing. I think that's our ceiling. Like, I think that's the most wins that we get is 9. Like, I don't like. There's too much going on. There's too many growing pains. Too much injuries. Like, but there's also a shit ton of talent on this football team. Like, there's a lot of talent. Mr. C has done a good job to procure himself a lot of talent. It's just a question of, are we going to be able to be effective on the pass rush? Is Harold Landry coming back for another year? Arden Key avoiding his 6-game suspension. You know, Calvin Ridley, the best weapon that the Jacksonville Jaguars had, is now our, primary pass catcher until DeAndre Hopkins comes back.
Here's the rumor mill. This is exactly what it is.
He wants $40 million.
He is seeking a 4-year deal in the $160 million range. He is looking for about 120 of it to be guaranteed. That is a $40 million average annually. You're not going to get it with that cheap ass owner.
You saying that they're not going to pay Jamar Chase? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think he's going to get. I think they're going to pay him, but I don't think he's going to get that.
Do you think they talk him down?
Oh yeah, I think Joe Burrow's going to talk him down.
Oof. Well, that'll be interesting. But yeah,
Denzel Ward also has a concussion. It is his 5th concussion since 2018.
To put a bow on it, anywhere from 9-8 to 7-10 makes sense to me when it comes to the Tennessee Titans. And I could say the same thing for the Indianapolis Colts. Anywhere from 9-8 to 7-10.
Yeah.
Because Anthony Richardson out of the picture, this team ain't going nowhere. You know, it's not gonna happen. You can be scrappy and go 7-10 and just miss the playoffs completely, and then have good things that you could work off of. The good things you could work off of is Anthony Richardson being able to stay healthy, keeping the Colts competing, getting them into the wild card. Same can be said for the Titans. Like, it's either or. One of those two teams is going to be in the wild card. Right now, they're just more or less the same to me. And then at number 1, at 10-7, I've got the Houston Texans. I've got them at number 1. I've got them taking this division, potentially the 4th seed in the AFC. First place schedule, which is going to be tough for a football team that was not playing a first place schedule last year and thriving. We talked about it last week a little bit, the fact that there's expectations now there for the Houston Texans. There's going to be a lot of mouths to feed as far as that offense goes. So if you're a football team that can bleed the clock and put together a 9-minute drive that can lead to a touchdown, all those pieces for the Houston Texans offense are just going to be sitting on the sidelines, not generating you any fantasy points. So I've been very careful as far as how I select and draft when it comes to Houston Texans because I don't want too much of them, just in case. All signs lead to them being one of the most potent offenses. We do this every offseason. We do this for fantasy football. We talk shit on the teams that we say are going to be bad offenses, and we showcase the teams that we say are going to be elite, super amazing offenses, and we go crazy drafting all the Texans. And now on Sunday, all your guys are sitting, and you're wondering why you have a combined 20 points with your stack of 3 guys because the other team managed to put together a drive that lasted 10 minutes, and now you have to play catch-up elsewhere. 10-7 to me is an honest, fair assessment based off of this team whose schedule I am about to pull up right now. You're starting the year off with Indianapolis. Tough division game right there. Appreciate you tuning in on the tube, bro. Appreciate you tuning in on the tube. Hoping to get more eyes on the product on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook right now, we appreciate you. But yes, we are also live on YouTube as we speak. We're live each and every week on YouTube on The Money Sports. Follow us.
We are simulcast, just like simulcast, the last episode of Nitro.
So you've got...
But it's every week.
Indianapolis, Chicago, Minnesota, Jacksonville, Buffalo, New England, Green Bay, Indy, Jets, Detroit, Dallas, Tennessee, Jacksonville, bye week, and then they have to end the season with Miami, Kansas City, Baltimore, Tennessee.
Where's that Miami
That's
game?
tough. At home. They're in Houston.
Well, that's good think, for Miami.
Yeah, that is good for Miami. Because you don't have to deal with weather. You're in a dome pretty much. And your guys can go out there and run amok.
Well, to dispute your second place, I have the Jaguars at 9-8, but I also believe they can. I've got the Jags and Colts as teams that could be anywhere from 9-8 to 7-10.
These teams are interchangeable.
Yeah, so
the teams in this division are interchangeable.
I think Trevor should have a bounce back year after being hurt all year. I don't think that Trevor's going to be an elite quarterback, but I think he's going to be a top 15 quarterback.
Well, I know this. I know the Titans are going to win more games than the shitty-ass Giants. I know that.
Oof.
I already know that. You can bet that. We'll double.
I also
Giants
put
wins.
in my notes, if they don't make the playoffs, is this it for Dougie?
Yes.
So
yes. If they go 8-9 and miss the playoffs, Dougie's getting fired.
He's gone.
Dougie is gone.
Oh, is Oktoberfest out already?
Yeah. We're at that point in time where we're already talking hot seats before the season even started because jobs are on the line. Expectations are here, and if you do not meet those expectations, someone else will be filling your position. Dougie P has not done anything to make himself untouchable. You saw the collapse that team had at the end of the season last year, losing to the 5-11 Tennessee Titans to end the season. We had nothing to play for besides just making sure they didn't make the playoffs. But I do agree that a lot these records with these football teams, it's interchangeable, man. Philly needs to call Dougie P back because Sirianni getting fired once Philly chokes again. Sirianni ain't it. I think Dougie P is a better coach than Sirianni is. So
yeah,
and
I got the Texans in first place like you with the same record,
10-7.
Yeah, I said, will Stroud continue to push up, or is there a sophomore slump?
What do you think?
Is Mixon still good enough to dominate? Will Diggs be okay as a second option?
And he starts freaking out if you give him the ball.
Expectations are high. Are they going to live up to those expectations? Not. Remember when the Browns had that surprise season in Baker's rookie year? And they went 9-7, and everybody thought they were going to be unbelievable. And then,
Alex, you think Sirianni's a good head coach, bro? Do you want to think that, or do you really think that?
Nick is not a head coach. He's just a cheerleader.
He's a clown.
So with Stroud, I worry that a part of me wants to pick him in fantasy football.
There's film on Stroud.
But then there's a part of me that's like, dude, what if there's a regression this season? You have a full year's worth of film.
There's film.
There's expectations now. And with those expectations comes a first place schedule. Every team is going to come at you with their best week in and week out.
Dog, that end of the season little gauntlet stretch they have going with Miami, Kansas City, Baltimore, Tennessee, that's kind of rough.
They could be like a number
We're the
one
worst
seed
of those 3
contention,
teams.
those
of 4 teams.
And that 4-game stretch could put them as a wild card possibly.
Well, I still think they take the division, but I
Sure, the
definitely
locker room
see
loves
them
him?
as the 4 seed.
Because I don't know, Jalen Hurts loves them.
I mean, does he still need Dom to talk to the players for him, or does he know how to communicate with his own locker room this year? Did he learn how to communicate over the offseason? Because it wasn't sounding or looking good. And I think Kellen Moore, in part, is there to eventually take over the head coaching job in case Howie Roseman has to fire this guy. Because I don't think Howie Roseman wanted to fire another head coach in that short span of time. That's what I
still got his job.
I think he just didn't want to fire him because that would be another head coach that he had to get rid of.
It'd have been 3 years and he's out already.
So, I mean, mentally he can handle it. I mean, hey, you can definitely build off of what he did last year.
And he's horrible at that.
I mean, I've listened to a few things. I've listened to AJ Brown on Twitter.
I've listened to Jalen Hurts.
I know what you want to believe compared to like what's real. I sat and watched the Eagles go 10-1 and then completely shit themselves to end the year.
That's coaching.
And completely fall apart. And I watched each and every single week Eagles fans complaining about the offensive play calling and decision making on the field, even with the wins. Like, I'm sorry, bro. Like, Nick Sirianni ain't it. You can't sit here and tell me that guy's a good head coach because he's not. He's got good things around him. He benefited from having a good offensive coordinator and a good defensive coordinator in Steichen and the other cat.
I think it's crazy a year later and Eagles fans still don't accept the fact that Sirianni was calling the plays. Dude was a fall guy. The OC was a fall guy.
They lost their good coordinators, and I think that it exposed Sirianni for who he really is.
Paul is a Eagles fan, and what did he just post?
Sirianni, isn't it? I'm a Giants fan. When I saw DeVito sling that football all over the Eagles last year, I watched everything I needed to. We'll see, man. He's got his job for now, so we'll see what the product looks like. But the Eagles are looking really 9-8-ish to me as well, like a lot of the teams.
That's next week.
Yeah, that's next week though. But yeah, I mean,
I'm interested to see what the Texans do. Like, do I think they're going to win first place? Yeah, but I want to see.
I do. Yes, I think the Texans win the division. Yes.
I want to see the expectations. Are they going to falter? Like,
I mean, they better win the division. Like, if they can't win the South, like, oof, that'll be brutal.
And you know, it's interesting to see. You see, Diggs didn't look too happy on the sideline about what the Steelers game a couple weeks ago.
Well, he needs to know his role and understand that
he's second option.
Nico Collins is the best option.
He might be the third option.
Nico Collins is the best option.
How long is that?
They don't respect Sirianni. They bodyguard. Dom is the one that keeps that connection going between Sirianni and the coach. I mean, hey, bro, you're as an Eagles fan, yeah, bro, you're not going to be much better than us at the end of the day. Like I said, the Titans can go anywhere from 9-8 to 7-10. Eagles, what are you giving the Eagles? 12 wins? Sorry, bro, that ain't happening. Not with that same guy as your head coach. Not with that same. Eagles defense is going to be trash this year. You're going to be able to run all over this defense. You're probably going to be able to pass all over them. You can't sit here. Let's put 100 on it. Or 100. What is it? What are we putting 100 on? You'll pay my dues and say, oh shit. Okay. What is happening right now? 100 on what? Of you guys having a better record, or like what is the actual? No, I don't think so.
But he's gonna pay your sickness fee?
That's what he said, yeah. Hey, I'm down.
We're finishing with a better record.
Finishing with a better record than the Titans. Yeah, I'm down. I'll put 100 on it. Let's do it. Officially on the podcast, we'll do it right now. Titans and Eagles. Cheesesteak mania all over again. Who ends with a better record? The Titans and the Eagles.
Andrew said this is
yourself a deal.
copyright infringement when he sees this.
You have yourself a deal, my friend, and it just makes this conversation all the more interesting as we move forward into the regular season and we watch everything play out. I mean, listen, I'm a man of my word. I won't forget. I'm a man of my word. Oscar, don't let your boy lose his money to Alex. Bro, I'm betting against the Eagles. I like my chances. Is the Eagles winning it all this year? No, they're not going to win it all this year. Eagles will be a wild card team and get bounced out in the first round again this year. Just make sure that you don't have to take that trip to Tampa Bay again because they own these guys. But I am a man of my word. A bet is a bet. We got the cyber handshake. I will not forget this bet, so you don't have to worry about that. We are here live each and every week on the podcast. There's nowhere for me to run. Who has more wins? 100 on the line. You're winning the division. Well, we're going to talk about them next week. You got to tune in for next week's podcast because we're doing NFC, AFC East next week, and that's going to wrap up all the divisions. And then the following week, we take all of our division champs and our wild card picks, and we merge it together into our playoffs and Super Bowl prediction. Eagles defense did go backwards. I'm telling you, you're going to be able to run the ball all over Philly, and there's nothing that they're going to be able to do about it. I'm telling you right now, like they have taken a step backwards, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. If the 10-1 collapse wasn't enough for you, you're going to be able to see it live all over again at the start of the 2024 season into 2025. So just brace yourself for it. Brace yourself. You guys better hope and pray. All you Philly fans out there better hope and pray that the Philadelphia Phillies are the ones that come through for you because it ain't going to be the Eagles. It damn sure ain't going to be the Philadelphia 76ers. And the Philadelphia Flyers, you're just hoping that they show a little bit more spunk this year compared to last year. You better hope the Phillies come through because it ain't going to be the other Philadelphia teams. I don't know if it's championship or bust. I don't think the bar is that high for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think so. I think that for Philadelphia, what is the bar for the Philadelphia Eagles? Like we're not discussing the division in depth yet, but like what would the bar be for Philly? Like it's not like they don't have a Super Bowl team. That already they've regressed.
What is the bar?
Yeah, like
I'll give that next week.
I don't think
Sorry,
it's
no
Super Bowl
spoilers.
bust. I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't put that much pressure on them to say that that's their ceiling, but I'm about to make the same edit here I did instantly. Oh shit. I love it, man. I love it. I love the contributions. I love the feedback. I love the perspective, the different opinions. This is that time of year, man. Like Hot Take Central. It's
Nobody
Hot Take
cares
Central.
about the division. You'll have a Super Bowl caliber team. If it's not the chip, it's a bust.
They're talented. They're talented. But Super Bowl caliber.
I agree with that statement right there.
That's a stretch.
I agree with that
That's
statement.
Stretch Armstrong, baby. But yeah, that's going to be next
If you're
week's
the
pod.
Chiefs, if you're the Ravens, if you're the Eagles, I mean, if you're the 49ers, if you're the Lions, if you're the Cowboys, if you're the Bills, it's championship or bust.
All those teams are better than the Eagles. Eagles are not. Eagles are going to play themselves out of that tier this year. Oof. You brought them in. You brought up all those names. You brought up all those football teams. And they are going to take themselves out of that equation before our very eyes with their performance on the field. Can Jalen Hurts read a defense still? Does he know how to read a defense? Or is he relying on another grown man to push his ass into the end zone, literally? Saquon Barkley's there. That's huge. That's a big deal. Saquon Barkley there is a big deal for that side of the football. Again, there's talent. That football team is going to go as far as their talent takes them. And that's really all there is to it. I guess I'll leave it on that cliffhanger until next week's pod when we break it down. Did you guys win?
It says end of the line, 3-2.
Yeah, looks like you won then. You survived. Congrats. Phillies won a game. Phillies won. It's looking like the Yankees won. So Everything pretty much stays the same in a very, very weird year.
So when
for baseball.
Orlando Arcia hit that home run, as he was rounding first, he was staring at Bryce.
Doing the repeat.
So if that doesn't wake up Bryce, the last time that happened, we know what Harper did. So,
and that's just Philly fans hoping that you guys wake up. That's it.
Maybe that's what they need. Maybe that's a Bryce Harper needed right now, because every time he gets disrespected, he does end up turning it up.
You're grasping at straws.
I'll grasp with any straw I can grab.
Just hoping that you guys can get that feeling that you had when you went on your run. Sometimes you just got to admit that it's just not your time anymore, and it's okay. Eagles fans are going to have a tough time admitting it this year. Phillies fan, I mean, shit, if you're an Eagles fan, you're most likely a Phillies fan, so you're smart enough to know that the Phillies are your only hope. And the Eagles
get more touchdowns than Levis. I could see that.
Yeah, maybe. He could.
Because
I could see that. I'll admit it. I just think these teams are going to finish somewhere around the same this year. Honestly. Wild card appearance and early playoff exit all around. Like, I'm not picking the Titans to go to the Super Bowl here, guys. I've been very objective with my call on them. I've got them anywhere between 9-8 and 7-10. Just want to have a little fun and talk some shit. So I've got them getting more wins than the Eagles. We got squads everywhere except in hockey. The Flyers will be there eventually one day.
I'm a Sixers fan. No, we do not.
Well, we know what the Sixers are. And the Eagles will definitely give up less points than the See, I don't know about that. Like, I think your defense is going to be pure dog shit, honestly. There's nothing scary about your defense. Ladders out on the Sixers, but we smoking the Knicks this year, I'll tell you that. Woo-hoo! That one's for you, Miguel. There it is. Getting everybody involved. Just getting everybody involved. That's what we do on this podcast, in this forum. We take shots. This is the time of year to get it done, bro. Keep the Philly versus New York rivalry going. He's talking shit on those beloved Knicks. The only thing that Mikey loves more than the Knicks is his freaking Giants, which I already told him the Giants ain't doing nothing this year. But it's important for him to hear these types of things to keep him humble. Celtics going back-to-back. Sixers smoking nothing but angel dust. Oh, man, I freaking love it, dude. I freaking love it. Oh, I love this time of year, man. It's so much fun. Such a fun
draft
podcast.
Weekend.
Yeah, like this is a great episode to go into our drafts, to be able to talk about these scenarios with these two divisions and how we think it's going to go down. So many moving parts and interchangeable pieces with these divisions. A lot of the phrase rebuild was brought up a lot tonight. And rebuild, you could say rebuild for more than half of these teams, to be honest. Like, so rebuild can be anywhere from like 6-11 to 9-8 sometimes, depending on where you are as a team, where your quarterback is. You know what I mean? Like it's, bro. Whew, I can't wait. I can't wait, bro. These types of episodes give me freaking chills, dog. Sixers are last on my list of teams I'm worried about. Who's first on your list? The first team on your list should be the New York Giants that you should be worried about, with Danny Dimes getting paid $40 million and throwing 2 picks in a preseason game. What up, Seth? What's going on, bro?
Sign the hat.
Sign the hat. My boy Seth is in the building. Sandlot Baseball Association is in the house. Sixers are irrelevant. And Paul George will be on the bench by the All-Star break. I forgot you guys got Paul George. Ugh. Mr. 40 mil. That's nasty work. Nasty.
The New York Wildcats.
Worry about that ERA in Sandlot. I haven't even looked at my ERA yet. I'm about to check it after the pod. You got your first home run of the week so far. Congratulations. It's Wednesday. So hopefully, I just got to steal some pitching categories from you, dog. But yeah, the $40 million man, Danny Dimes, will be a highlight of the discussion on next week's podcast. Mr. 55 mil to get ass grabbed hockey. Hey, at 55 mil, you got to throw Jordan Love in there too. But, I mean, do you have any closing statements on the pod? The comments are flowing right now. Like, so we're definitely getting the feedback.
Oh,
that's coming from a Giants fan with that last comment.
Poor Tito.
Paul George equals a better shape to Tobias Harris. Yeah. That's a big
Man,
Tito.
I ain't worried about basketball right now. Right now it's about football. True Legends this Saturday night.
Yes.
Sick picks this Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
One last ride.
East Coast champs this Sunday night. Final draft of the weekend. The wildest of all the drafts. It gets crazier every single year. And this year for the
Sunday
first time.
night.
Yeah. 5:30 time frame around there.
Remember, a lot of y'all work the next day, so don't get too crazy.
I don't have to be at work until 3:45. So whatever I do on Sunday, I can sleep it off regardless. So I will be ready to go, ready to draft. The boards will be posted. If you guys have drafts going on this weekend, post your boards in the forum. Yeah, people are going to talk shit about it. That's kind of what we do. You just talk shit back. Give it right back to them. Give it right back to them. Stand on your own. Represent your league. Represent your squad, like everybody who was in the comments today representing their teams. If you win the chip, I technically get to defend it. I mean, if he wins the chip, he can't leave. That's the crazy thing. So we're gonna have to expand it to a 14-man next year and get crazy. Thank you for the contributions, Alex, bro. Thank you for your contributions for tonight's podcast and your feedback. I didn't agree with everything you said.
What the hell is this?
Appreciate it.
Where you tagged all these people in the group chat and said y'all good for Sunday? I thought we already talked about this and we had everything settled.
Everything's good for Sunday on my end. I don't know about like I'm good. I'm ready. I stand on my words. Waste of money. Coming from a Giants fan, Danny Dimes, waste of money. So kudos to you for being honest about where you stand. 6 picks, 14-man league. Yeah, we might have to, dog. You got to think, if Chris is coming, this guy ain't leaving 6 picks now that he's back in. Like, he ain't leaving 6 picks, dog. Like,
I'm out.
It's a 12-man now. Chris is coming back next year, which makes it 13. So we're just going to have to find a 14th guy.
Who says I'm coming back? I told you. One last ride.
We'll see.
I did it for Chris. I did it for The Rock.
So you guys are co-managers. I
should have just drafted him this team and say, here you go.
You got to send them your lineups, and you guys got to discuss lineups on Sunday, you and Chris, since you're basically sharing the same profile.
No.
Yeah, but next week, man, we're doing NFC, AFC East. That means we're talking about the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. We are breaking down the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Jets, Jets. We are giving you our winners. We are giving you part 4 of our 5-part saga that concludes with episode 5 being the playoffs and predictions episode with our Super Bowl picks. Still having a little bit of trouble picking like who I think is going to make it to the bowl this year, because I feel like kind of like how baseball is looking right now, we are going to get a very, very weird year of NFL action this year. So it's going to be tough to call, but that's why we're here. That's why we keep note of everything. We document everything.
I went
to hold ourselves accountable.
8-8 the second year, and last year I had a good year, and then my team did nothing in the playoffs.
Well, I went 9-5, followed by 9-5. I have the most points in league
everybody
history.
Better be at Mikey's house by 11:30, bro.
No, Seth doesn't need to relax. Seth is speaking his truth. And it's something that you need to hear because you both root for the same team. Don't tell him to relax.
You ain't boy counting.
Don't tell him to relax just because you don't like what he's saying. The man's speaking true. He's speaking from the heart. He knows it's a waste of money. And eventually everybody's going to admit that Danny Dimes, $40 million a year, was a complete waste of money and time.
Toma!
Everybody's going to admit it. Some Giants fans are more willing to admit it now than others, but that's the beauty of the NFL season being around the corner, because no matter what our hot takes are, no matter what we say, the product on the field is going to speak for itself. You can't hide behind it. You can't hide it. You're not going to be able to hide it anymore. Everybody's going to have to go out there and play. So we're going to see what we got right and what we got wrong. That's the beauty of what we do here. That's the beauty of what we do. And we are going to give each other shit for it the entirety of the season. The seeds are already planted. You've already got people coming at this guy. You got people coming at me.
Bro, they coming at me, but it's gonna be funny because I'm gonna have the
I'm
last
call Better
laugh.
Business Bureau. Oh shit!
You know what? I hope you get the runs while you're out there. How about that one?
Oof, that's rough. Careful what you eat, dog. You guys be safe out there. I'll catch most of you in the On the Money Sports Fan Forum. If you guys took
Everybody
the time,
in Sick Picks League, Mikey's house, 11:30.
yeah, lock in.
Start the
Here we go.
draft at 12.
Lock in.
I don't
You gotta
want to
focus.
hear. I'm almost there. Yo, I'm almost
Oh,
there.
oh, the draft was today?
Yeah,
Oh.
the draft was today.
But the draft was today, head ass? No. You got to be there. You got to be there.
So
I'll bring you a coffee. Okay?
I'm going to just stick y'all government names out right now. Hold up real quick.
I'll hit everybody up.
So, Aaron, make sure you're there.
Bring
Matt.
your fans to Mikey's.
Javi. Anthony. Bro, you be on Facebook all the time,
I'll
dog.
be there.
You better be there.
He'll be there.
I know Bobby going to be there.
Bobby always shows up.
Netta, she going to be there and just disappear for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's one of the few times I see her.
Terrell will be, everybody else will be there.
Lock in, guys. This happens once a year. A lot of you guys, I only get to see you guys once or twice
Not
a year.
one
So I'm
person
looking forward
better
to it.
text Mikey
Oh, the
on
draft was
Sunday
today.
morning talking about
Oh, damn. When we
the draft
drafted?
was today.
When we drafted. Oh, shit. I'm in California, dog.
Listen, we got people on speed dial.
Hey, things are different. All I got to do is hit Rick up. He potentially has to. I just got to give him a notice, and he could potentially show up. I'll be up early on Sunday, just in case. I'll be up super early. Oh, I can't wait, man. Shout out to Mike D, Commissioner of Sick Picks. Shout out to Chris out on vacation right now. Paul, Alex, like Jason, RJ, Eric, like shout out to all you guys for making this episode so much fun. We do this all day. Just talking football, having fun, going back and forth, giving our hot takes. Next week's episode is gonna be crazy. Like next week's episode is gonna be crazy. Like I am there's one fan base that's gonna like what I have to say, but I'm also interested in hearing what they think is gonna go down because there's so many moving parts.
Only make
going on with
Mikey
their
do
team.
the hardest jobs tomorrow.
All right, dog. Love you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you this weekend, play. I mean, before that, I'll see you in one of our many group chats. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean, dog.
And Mikey, don't forget, I'm on Ross St. Brown. You better make hope I don't pick ahead of you.
Guys, have a good night. Get home safely. Love each other. Be good. And I hope to see everybody back here, same time, same place, next week for part 4 of our 5-part saga, which is the 2024 NFL Divisional Breakdown. AFC.
The one that
and
y'all are
NFC.
looking forward to most.
It's going down. The East. Next week, we're in the East.